What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, as I alluded to in a previous video, I want to talk about the potential risk of Conclave Arcana to creating a new DEC overhang, right? So if you want to watch, I guess, part one of this video, look for a video titled, I actually haven't titled it yet, but something like, the end of the DEC overhang. This part, though, I guess part two in the follow-up is talking about how Conclave Arcana could actually recreate or exacerbate the situation we've been in and have been struggling with for the last almost 4 years at this point. So again, I'm just going to use some very easy numbers here to make it simple for folks, right? We have, and again, let's assume that everything else is even. I'm just kind of trying to show you the math here. So the players are currently sitting on about 1 billion DEC, right? And I'm going to ignore everything that's in the market and pools and with the company. We're just talking about, let's say players are holding 1 billion DEC because they are ready and excited for Conclave Arcana. So what ends up happening is, let's say we get into a situation where all of a sudden we need, let's say half of the presale sells out, right? So we don't quite get the full thing, but it ends up being around like 2 billion DEC. So we already have 1 billion, which means we're going to need to burn a ton of SPS to create another billion DEC and mint that. Now, here's the thing. Half of that DEC goes to the DAO, which essentially gets locked up until we decide to do something with it. The other half of that DEC goes to the team, who will eventually and slowly and steadily start recirculating that back into the game economy, right? And that actually slows down the amount of buying of SPS that the team does because now they're sitting on a ton of DEC. So let's say there is that demand, right? So all of a sudden we burn a ton more SPS, or we burn a ton of SPS and we mint 1 billion more DEC. So now we have 2 billion DEC worth of demand that's come in, 1 billion of which goes into the DAO, effectively locked up for the foreseeable future. The other 1 billion goes to the team, and maybe the team sells some of that for, salaries and paying things off. Maybe they keep some of it for recirculating it back in transactions. Either way, it comes back out into the ecosystem, right? The team doesn't just sit and hold DEC for long periods of time, as you can see. So now we're talking about 1 billion DEC that we would need to eat up further. And sure, maybe all of a sudden there's, we get another wave of bullishness, and now we go and get people that want to buy more packs. Maybe the presale isn't quite over yet, so they buy another 1 billion DEC worth of packs. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Right now we're 3/4 of the way through the presale. And we now lock up another 500 million in the DAO, and we get 500 million back to the team. Then, and here's where the important thing goes, let's say we want another 500 million, right? Another 500 million, that puts us at 7/8. I know I'm throwing out a bunch of numbers here. What I'm trying to get at is that this is actually the best case scenario, right? Because then we would actually see the DEC get eaten up appropriately and for Conclave Arcana. I'm giving you the best case scenario here, and that's, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, if we burn too much too fast, that's where the problem lies. See, I was just giving you the 1 billion DEC scenario of us burning another billion, but what happens if on day one we need 4 billion DEC worth of demand and we actually sell out the presale? Okay, so let me give you the worst case scenario now, right? Let's say we mint 3 billion additional DEC. I think the entire presale is going to be like worth 4.4 billion DEC. So we mint 3 point something, we'll just call it 3 billion DEC. So now we have 4 billion plus DEC worth of demand. 2 billion of that gets locked up in the DAO, and 2 billion recirculates back into the game economy. You remember just how bad it was when we had 1 billion extra DEC or 2 billion extra DEC, right? Not too long ago. It took us a very long time. Now, the thing is, there are potentially more sinks, right? Obviously, there's more sinks for DEC, whether it's burning, right, from like the LPs, or actually loading liquidity in. If there's new players that come in and start guilds, and we get some guild stuff in the future, that could potentially burn some more DEC. But on the whole, it's going to take us a while to burn through that. And so this is why I'm just calling out Conclave Arcana as a massive DEC demand driver, there could be a risk there. And this is kind of why I would prefer for us to go small, or slow and steady up the flywheel than having this violent thing. Because if there is a violent thing, then all of a sudden there's a DEC overhang, SPS maybe pops up a bit and then drops back down for an extended period until we can eat through that again, rather than doing a slow and steady flywheel. So again, I'm just trying to lay this out for you guys as a potential risk here. And again, is this a bad thing necessarily? No, I mean, it's all a matter of perspective, right? This is crypto. So to go through boom bust cycles makes sense, right? And Splinterlands itself has been able to go through its own mini boom bust cycles despite what the rest of the market is doing, right? I think back to 2022, September 2022 with Rift Watchers, right? When we had the Rift Watchers release, then you fast forward to 2023, end of 2023 when we had the Rebellion release. Now here we are with an interesting situation where we're going to get the Conclave Arcana release. And that could, right, push SPS up. But if we end up with a significant overhang afterwards, we will have to eat through that. And the flywheel action will be effectively cut off because DEC will probably end up trading below its peg value, and SPS will start to be sold off again, right? If people are just thinking that like, hey, I'm going to get rewards, if I want to go buy something with those rewards or I get paid in SPS, I need to sell it for DEC, and we end up in a situation that we've been in. So again, I'm calling this out as a potential risk here. It's not even a risk. It's just a potential scenario that may play out. And so in a way, I'm so curious to see how the Conclave Arcana presale will go, simply because if it ends up being like a slow start where it's just like, okay, we're not getting people that need 4 billion DEC, like we're not getting the 4 billion DEC worth of demand in the first day or couple of days or the first week, but it's like a slow and steady grind where the team is trying to like recirculate some of that back out. And I would even say like, it'd be great for the team to just like sell off the DEC rather than waiting for these credits transactions to come in on the back end. But it's whatever it ends up being, whenever it starts, however long it goes, my expectation is that it's going to start sometime in April and it's going to go for 30 days. We will see just how violent the spike could potentially be. And again, this is not a price prediction. I'm not trying to, there's not financial advice. I have no idea what's going to happen. If anything, I don't want this violent spike up in SPS. I want it to be a slow and steady grind, and for people to be thoughtful and slow and steady about getting their SPS or getting their Conclave Arcana packs, right? My hope is that there isn't some like point system again where the more you buy on day one, right, like we've seen promo cards in the past, the more you buy on day one, the more points you get towards whatever. It's just like if you buy at any point within the presale, like that's cool. And, maybe this will actually incentivize people to wait and see, like, hey, is DEC going to potentially drop back down again, right? Like all of a sudden there's this massive rush for DEC and we burn a ton of SPS, but, then credits facilitations on the back end, the team may be selling off some DEC. It drops from, 95 down to 90. I can get packs for a 5% discount in that case, right? Again, I'm just giving out all kinds of scenarios here, throwing out all kinds of ideas, but that is where my head is at heading into Conclave Arcana. Obviously, I think a lot is going to happen over the next couple of months, and there's also a lot that's happened in the past month or two. So this is a very dynamic, complex ecosystem. Land could take off, for example, and soak up a ton of that DEC, right? We could get liquidity pools or more plots online. Maybe survival mode ends up being a place in which people want to really participate in further, especially if they're seeing, opportunities for arbitrage. I don't know, whatever the case is, we could see a lot of that. Or maybe just new players come in. Maybe new players come in and buy a ton of DEC for land or for whatever. But that's all I have for you guys in this video. Again, just kind of calling out the potential scenario there. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.